Hey, this is Matt. Once again, what about the end of the video? This is another paid request. This time for frame by frame. And for those interested, requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, commentaries, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, frame by frame sent in a request for me to review just episodes 1 and 2 of Stranger Things Season 4. So before I get into that, number one, for those who don't know, I've never been the biggest Stranger Things guy. The first season I could deal with for what it is, but it's not like something I want or need to own or see again. But I thought, the actors like Winona Ryder, the wonderful synth musical score, the look of the film, like the cinematography, make it feel like the 80s. Even the kid actors, they did a good job, and overall, I didn't mind Season 1 for what it is. Season 2, I thought was a step down. Season 3, I thought sucked. Flat out sucked. I will say with the start of Season 4, it seems like definitely better than Season 3 with the initial impressions. And maybe even better than Season 2. Because I like that they're attempting to do a more serious, darker story. When people die, it's much more viscerally. Yeah, I mean, there's CGI enhancements to be truthful, but the way people die and the way it does feel. I get the intention of being ghastly. Like I said, the CGI is noticeable, so it doesn't help matters. But the idea helps it through, so to speak. The fact, though, that each fucking episode now is 70 minutes. Either an hour and 14 or an hour and 10. Apparently some episodes are going to be longer. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. One of the issues I've had about this show and a lot of shows on Netflix is they feel bloated as hell. They feel bloated. Bloated as fuck. I'm sitting there going, really? Like, so instead of getting shorter, let's get longer. Because then what happens is that you get a lot of... There would be episodes where it seems like supposedly a lot is happening, but when you think about it, not really a whole lot happens. And the reason they make it longer is because they have more and more characters. And each one has their little story they're going through. So, like episode 1... we go a little backstory in 1979, Matthew Modine with not 11, but a kid named 10. Then there's a bad thing that happens. Everybody's died. It looks like 11 killed them all. Of course, because you know how stories work, well, things are not what they appear. So when you see this scene later, probably much later, because Season 4 is being separated into 2 parts. There's Season 4 Part 1, there'll be a Season 4 Part 2, and then there'll be a Season 5, which supposedly will be the final one. Yeah, whoop-de-doo fucking da. So probably by the end of Part 1, that beginning is not what you think, not what you expect. Then it cuts to its present time, 1986, and the episode's called The Hellfire Club. And our characters, it goes to what they're doing. It's been some time since Season 3. So Winona Ryder, her 2 kids, and 11, who's with them, they're in California. You even get a version of California Dreamin' on there. Winona Ryder has a job where she works from home. 11 doesn't have her powers anymore. She gets picked on in school. And pretty much for the first 2 episodes, it's just her being picked on. That's pretty much the gist of it. She gets picked on. She gets picked on. She can't use her powers. She even forgets that she tries to use it, but she forgets she doesn't have any. Winona Ryder's older son didn't give a shit about any scenes with him. He has this other friend with him, pretty much talking about, why you don't get laid? You say you have a lady friend back home. Why don't you go get laid with her? That's pretty much his whole character. Didn't give a shit about any of that. The one kid, Will, nothing to his character. Like in 2 episodes, there's been nothing I can even describe with his character. He's just there. He must be part of the fucking furniture. Dustin is with that girl from the previous one, the one that did that stupid never-ending story. Let's see while people are gonna die. People are ready to fucking die. We better sing before we die and cry. I'm like, dude, I think they must have heard the complaints that season 3 got just way too comical, way too silly. So they went back to the more serious horror, but now people are complaining there's no comedy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm fine with this direction of being more horror, more serious, to up the stakes a bit and try to make the villain a bit more of a threat. Dude, I didn't think the villain was a threat in season 3. Here, when you do see the villain, it's a... how do I put it? It's like Frank from Hellraiser without his skin, a little bit of the monster in the Keep, sort of like his build, but again, the flesh is kind of like Uncle Frank without his skin, and pretty decent makeup effects. And through each of those, I'll get... should I even separate? I don't know, we'll see. This might be a review episode 1, or it might be episode 1 and 2. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But I did like the makeup on that creature. Each of these episodes, 1 and 2, he finds someone, they start having visions, and then the monster will see him in the dream world, grab him, but in the real world they're teleporting up, and then like the Ring, you're cracking their bones, and eyes go back, and bones start cracking everywhere, and then they fall and crumple to the ground. And I did CGI, because that's, I don't know how the hell you could do that practically, so I understand that. And the idea and some of the sound design, it does what it can to create a creepy effect to that. The other kid's Dustin, like he says, with his little girlfriend, he tells her on the radio, the hacker, who helps change his grade as if she was Ferris Bueller. Lucas, he's on the basketball team. Mike, sort of the lead kid, and Dustin, the part of this Dungeon and Dragon Club, where there's this one guy named, what was his name? Eddie. Eddie seems like he's a rocker, but he's also in the D&D, which is at this time Dungeons and Dragons were thought of to be part of witchcraft. Just look at what was that Tom Hanks film, Mazes and Monsters, where it's like, this guy played Dungeons and Dragons and it made him go crazy and lose all sense of reality. Just such a stupid movie, Mazes and Monsters. Horrible film. Tom Hanks' worst film, I would say. That's Tom Hanks' worst movie. But Dungeons and Dragons were looked to be devil worship and stuff, so that's probably why this Rocker's part of it. And Mike and Dustin are part of it. And Lucas is like, well, I'm tired of this Dungeon and Dragons, tired of being a nerd and a loser. come watch me at the game. We'll be part of the pool club. So of course they don't, and Lucas is able to get the ball and help win the game, while Dustin and Mike, they're doing the Dungeon Dragon game. They win their game, and decent editing between the two, where both kind of simpatical with each other and both winning their games. Some decent back and forth editing. The soundtrack, in the episode 1, they had the song from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Do you wanna play? You wanna play. As Dustin and Mike are trying to get people to be part of this Dungeon Dragon game. And they finally settle on the Lucas's younger sister, who was in the previous season. But damn, she had a growth spurt. I'll say that. I mean, it's supposed to be sometime afterward, and that does happen, of course, in a matter of months, depending on who you are, but in reality, it's a lot longer than that. So you have 11 being picked on by bullies. Mike and Dustin deal with the Dungeon Dragon game winning. They don't go to the basketball game, which Lucas helps win for the team. And of course he's sad because his friends aren't there for him. Mike's older sister, she's still with like the newspaper. Steve, he's working at Family Video, the video store. So a cool nostalgia trip to put that in there, the video store stuff. And then this cheerleader, who, of course, we don't know much of. She's a cheerleader and the girlfriend of this guy on the basketball team. She gets killed by this Hellraiser Frank style creature. And then the episode's over. So, I'm fine with the first episode being a bit longer because you want to get people up to speed. Get up to speed who each of these characters, where their role is after it's been so many months afterward, what's going on, what's happening. Okay, they're here, that's going on with them, blah, blah, blah. So the first episode, I didn't mind that much. First episode I thought was fine. First episode I thought, I'm like, this is a step in the right direction compared to Season 3 or even, Season 2 perhaps. We'll see where this goes. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to talk about Episode 2 because there's not much to say. Because, yet again, that is also an hour and 10 or so minutes. 70 minutes. So you have an opening where Hopper survives. What a big shock. You knew they weren't going to kill that character off. David Harbour, as Hopper was running, he jumps. A lot of CGI. Fucking CGI orgasm central. Looked fucking ridiculous in my opinion. Just blasted. He's alive. He's trapped in Russia in a prison. And Winona Ryder gets a clue and a note. And she's going to try to help Hopper get out of there. Meanwhile, Mike arrives in California, meets up with 11. 11 says, oh, she has all these friends, but she doesn't. So they go roller skating, roller rink. She gets picked on, pushed around, embarrassed. And then, rightfully so, in my opinion, goes up and hits the dumb bully bitch in the face with the roller skates. Since she has no powers. Then she's freaked out, she hurt someone. I think she fucking deserved it, but whatever. The police find the dead cheerleader. They blame the Eddie guy who's running the Dungeon Dragons thing. Dust is like, wait, there's no way he could have done it. Oh yeah, the one girl Max who had the brother that died the last season. She tells Dustin, he's like, wait, there's something else going on here. And then she says, well, she saw electricity interference while that happened. But this is what I'm talking about is not a whole lot happens during this hour and 10-minute running time. And that's what gets to the point of there's too many fucking characters in this. And a lot of them don't have stories worth of much interest. Like, we got enough of the bully tactics going on against 11 in the first episode. Yeah, we did. She's being bullied. She stands up for herself. The Hopper surviving being in the prison in Russia. You tell that's going to be something that's going to be stretched out, thin throughout the show. Part of you just wishes there was a much more of a smaller group to be able to interact and play off each other with this situation and go on the story, which is this murder mystery in this town, where, okay, this person didn't do it, so what did it? And, oh, it's a spellcaster or dark wizard. Because anything they do has to... They're reminded of their Dungeons and Dragons games. And you have another random person who's seen visions and they get killed almost the same way as the cheerleader did in the previous episode. And yeah, I'm sitting there going, why the fuck is this an hour and 12 minute episode? It feels fucking bloated. It feels like I'm watching this going, yeah, I kind of, yep, we already know Eddie didn't do it. You just wait for people to catch up. You're waiting for Mike to catch up that, oh yeah, your girlfriend's being picked on. What you don't do about it? Stop being a pussy. Do something about it, because Mike feels like he's been useless in most of this damn show. Steve worked at a family video trying to pick up girls. I'm sitting there going, all the really important stuff, you could probably get 20 minutes out of this, of the very important stuff. Max telling Dustin tried to work with some of the others at Family Video to find out where Eddie is. The cops telling the boyfriend of the cheerleader, which he thinks this Eddie guy did it. Lucas is watching on the sidelines. But just all these characters just split up, and because they're split up so far apart, it's like, okay, here's this, then here's this, then here's this, here's this, then we're back to this, then we're back to this, then we're back to this, back to this, back to this, back to this. It's just, it just feels like feels like such a pain, because damn, I still unhooked the damn camcorder while I was talking, because got so discombobulated about what the hell I was talking about. Man, I don't know, maybe it's the villain of this show just getting pissed at me for... I don't see this... I said in the previous seasons, this felt like you could take maybe a decent movie, but that is just so bloated to exponential rate, exponential size, to the point I can't even talk, can't even construct words, to the point that I can't even fester any amount of interest in a show. And that's the thing with a lot of shows on Netflix and other stuff. Not all, but a lot of them is just either it feels like filler, or I get their character development, but I don't really care, or it stretches out too much because they're not looking at the bigger picture. They're looking at, okay, this is an hour and 10 minute. How do we fill out this hour and 10 minute episode? We'll put this and put this, put that in. How do we fill this out? Okay, this is going to be an hour and 10 minutes. It's just like, give them carte blanche to make it as long as you want. And I don't think... The first episode, maybe. The last episode, maybe. But the episodes in between, no, they don't need to be an hour and 10 fucking minutes. Just like I said, Hopper's alive, Micro's California, Eleven's being bullied, gets pranked, hits the bitch in the face. Dustin and Match go to Family Video. With the help of them, find out where this guy who Eddie knows lives. Go there. Eddie's like, you won't believe me. Try us. He tells it. And Dustin goes, oh, maybe it's a spellcaster. And then the other guy goes, a dark... No, Dustin goes, a dark wizard. And Eddie goes, a spellcaster. That's pretty much it. At best, maybe 30, 35 minutes. But not an hour and 10, hour and 12 minutes. But hey, I guess if people are enjoying the journey, cool. I feel this will be another show that's just going to be, here's a movie, stretch it out longer than it needs to be. That's kind of one of my issues with a lot of these shows. It's nothing egregiously bad or horrible compared to season 3. It doesn't make it cringeworthy. You know, there's a lot of 80s references with the music and the clothes and the environment. Those are very nostalgic. But is there enough story to necessitate this long-ass running time? I don't know. I doubt that. I don't know. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.